What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In today's video, I want to do some quick Atlanta Falcons news, and then I also want to talk about Justin Fields, the Ohio State quarterback. Should the Atlanta Falcons draft him? But with that being said, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you know when I've done Atlanta Falcons content. Hit that like button for your boy. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers or 1K. So please hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Tell your friends and family about the channel. Also, I want to wish you guys a happy new year. As I talked about it, we are in 2021. And 2020 was a crazy year. It was a down year for our Atlanta Falcons. So hopefully we can start this year off on tomorrow against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a win. It is the season finale. But with that being said, let's jump right into the video. So like I was stating, I want to do some quick Atlanta Falcons news. First thing, Julio Jones will not play this coming Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with that lingering hamstring injury. I'm happy that he's sitting out this game. I said it about 2 or 3 weeks ago that I didn't want to see Julio Jones out on the field the rest of the season after he went down with that hamstring. I think it was about 3 or 4 games ago. I said that we should just go ahead and rest Julio Jones for the rest of the season, being that we were eliminated from playoff contention and we had no chance of making the playoffs. It's no reason to have Julio Jones out there on the field where he could possibly get injured and not be available for the 2021 season. So I felt like it was best that we just go ahead, put him on the shelf for the rest of the year. Also, Alex Max, another guy who was on the injury report. He recently was placed on the COVID-19 list. As I said in my last video, he will not play Sunday. Also, Darqueze Dennard, the cornerback for our Atlanta Falcons, have been battling a quad injury. He hasn't played over the last 2 games as well. And they're saying that he's questionable, but I think he won't play in this game. I'll be surprised if he plays because he's been injured, battling that lingering quad injury for a while now. So I think he might be another player as a veteran player that they may just, put on the shelf for the rest of the season. He is a guy that I think in Darqueze Dennard that has played well this year for our Atlanta Falcons as a veteran corner. When he was available, he played well early in the season. He played pretty well throughout the season when he was healthy. He can play inside and outside at that corner position. A guy that's very versatile, physical corner, can tackle very well. So I think he was a bright spot, one of the bright spots for our Atlanta Falcons team when he was available this season. He only signed a 1-year deal with us, so he is a free agent after this year. I do think he's a player, though, that the Falcons may think about bringing back on a short-term deal. But first, because our cap is so tight, we will need to restructure some contracts. Maybe Julio Jones and Matt Ryan, Grady Jarrett and Deion Jones, and those guys that had those big contracts. We may need those guys to restructure so we can bring back some of these guys, these ancillary pieces like a Darqueze Dennard. Even though I think Darqueze Dennard is a player that we may try to bring back, I do think our first priority should be signing Younghoe Koo and signing Keanu Neal, because both of those guys' contracts are up as well. And I think Keanu Neal will be the first guy that's going to be the priority, him and Younghoe Koo. And then also next season, Foye Oluokun, his contract is up. So he's a guy they may try to get a long-term deal done with this offseason as well, which I think would be very smart. But those guys are the 3 guys I would look at re-signing directly after this season is over. Younghoe Koo, Keanu Neal, and Foye Oluokun, those should be the guys that's top priority for our Atlanta Falcons. But with that being said, let's jump into this quick Justin Fields draft talk. It's been a lot of people clamoring for Justin Fields, and I wanted to see what this kid had. I hadn't got a chance to watch a lot of his games this year because I'm not the biggest college football fan. I am an Auburn Tigers fan, so I watch a lot of SEC football. But I hadn't got to see Justin Fields play a full game. I've only seen him play, I believe, one time earlier this season when they played against Penn State, and he played really well in that game. But I wanted to see him play against the top competition and see how he, how he would play on this stage, on this national championship semifinal stage. And I was able to watch the game yesterday against Ohio State and Clemson, and I was really, really impressed with this guy. Really impressed. I really think after watching this guy play, and I'm not just being a prisoner of the moment, because I'm not a guy that watches one game and then run with it. I really think that the Falcons should consider drafting this guy if we're not going to trade down. If we're going to stay at number 4 and pick that number 4 pick, what's currently we will have the 4th pick in this upcoming 2021 NFL draft, I would strongly suggest the Falcons seriously take a look at possibly drafting this kid. From what I seen yesterday in that game, I was very impressed. 6 touchdown passes. I was impressed with his leadership, his confidence, and his cool, calm, and collectiveness. He did a good job to me in the game of not pressing, taking the underneath routes when they were there, using his legs when he had to. I was impressed with the way that he threw that post route on that touchdown. He looked off the safety and then came back and threw the ball down the field. They have been talking about heading into this game how Justin Fields had struggled through the last 3 games. But watching this game, he was sharp in this game, very sharp. On this national championship semifinal stage, I was very impressed with the kid. Even when he got injured, he got hit in the back. When he became a runner, he was running outside the pocket, and he got hit, and the linebacker from Clemson was kicked out of the game for targeting. He was hit like in the lower kidney area in his back. He limped off the field, came right back out and threw a touchdown pass to one of his tight ends. No, actually to his wide receiver on a bootleg. So this guy was really impressed with the way that he threw the football. To me, he made good decisions. I didn't see a lot of bad throws from this kid, and he looked very poised. I was very impressed, with the kid. I think in this draft, from what I'm hearing, I haven't been able to do, I haven't been able to scout and look over the draft, all the players that are coming out. I've only heard of the top prospects so far in this draft, but I haven't been able to go and do my research yet because I've been doing all of this NFL content for our Falcons being at the season. We're still playing the NFL season, the regular season. But once this NFL season is over, as of tomorrow, because tomorrow is the season finale for our Falcons, I will start breaking down these guys' college tape. But from what I've seen so far, it doesn't look like there's any dominant defensive linemen in this draft that's like last year. Last year you had the Chase Youngs and the Derek Browns. You had those guys that were like generational talents, as they call them. In this draft, they're not really saying that it's no guy out there that's really like they think is going to be a generational type player. Doesn't mean that because they haven't said it that there isn't any generational type talent as far as defensive linemen in this draft. But from what I've seen so far, Gregory Rousseau, the defensive end out of Miami, the Miami Hurricanes, he's the only guy that I'm hearing his name that's top 5 worthy. And a lot of people are saying that he's not even top 5 worthy because they're saying that he doesn't have pass rush moves and he basically is just a bull rusher and very athletic. Now, I've seen this guy's tape, Gregory Rousseau, and I was impressed with the kid because you can't teach size. This dude is 6'6", 260 plus pounds. Miami used him all over their D-line on the inside at 3 technique and as a defensive end. So I do think that the Falcons also should consider drafting him if we're not going to trade down. But if I had to pick between Gregory Rousseau and Justin Fields, if he's still on the board, because a lot of people are not thinking about this as well, because he's playing so well, Justin Fields, and if he dominates against Alabama in this championship game, his stock is going to rise, and he could easily catapult up to the 1 or 2 spot. Because yesterday Trevor Lawrence didn't play well in that game. And for them guys to be matched up against each other and both of those guys heading into the NFL draft after the season, Justin Fields may leapfrog Trevor Lawrence. Personally, I don't think that from their college tapes and what I've seen out of them over their career, I don't necessarily think just off of one game you can say Justin Fields is better than Trevor Lawrence. Personally, I still believe that Trevor Lawrence will be drafted with the #1 pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars. But like I've been telling you guys, there's no guarantee. And these GMs, they fall in love with players, and they are prisoners of the moment, just kind of how a lot of people were prisoners of the moment of last night's game with Justin Fields. A lot of people are going to watch this kid and fall in love with this kid. And all it takes is one GM to really fall in love with this kid, and he could easily be that #1 pick in the draft. Personally, I still think it's going to be Trevor Lawrence because he has the body of work. And he's been in championship games pretty much his whole career there at Clemson. He's won a national title with Clemson, but I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Fields leapfrogs this guy. But if I were the Falcons, like I said, I would seriously think about drafting Justin Fields, not to replace Matt Ryan. I would bring him in to sit behind Matt Ryan, learn the scheme for maybe 1 or 2 seasons, and then I would put Justin Fields out there on the field once Matt Ryan, and at that point, Matt Ryan will be a little bit older. He'll be about 38 at that point because Matt Ryan, I think, is 35, going on 36. So 2 seasons from now, he'll be knocking on 40, meaning Matt Ryan, he'll be knocking on the age of 40. He'll be about 38. And by that time, maybe some of his skills will, start to erode. And then it really would make sense to let Justin Fields take over the reins as the starting quarterback. But as far as what I seen yesterday, I was really impressed with this kid. Also, one of the negatives about possibly bringing in the Justin Fields, though, is I know how toxic the media is in Atlanta. A lot of the fan base, as soon as Matt Ryan has one bad pass, one bad game, they're going to be calling, screaming for Justin Fields to get in the game, and we'll have a situation on our hands, kind of like the Philadelphia Eagles with Carson Wentz and this kid, Jalen Hurts, that they have now. You can create a quarterback controversy if you bring this kid in because the media in Atlanta is really toxic. And a lot of the media like ESPN and stuff like that is toxic. They don't like the Atlanta Falcons. They don't really care for Matt Ryan a whole lot. So that's one problem you could have. And that's one of the downsides if you bring in a guy like a Justin Fields early in the draft. But I would seriously consider it. Just from what I seen yesterday, I was really impressed with Justin Fields. And I really think that the Falcons should, take a chance on this kid. The reason I think that we should take a chance is when you're picking this high at 4, it's no guarantee that the Falcons will ever be picking in the top 5 over the next couple seasons, because this year our team just really underachieved. When you're winning 7 games and you lose all 7 games where you had a lead or you were leading in the game, we're 0-7 in one possession games. And, over the last couple seasons, we've been 7-9, and we would win at least half of those games. And we've normally been picking within the last decade, we've been picking in the teens or in the 20s in the draft. So usually it's harder to find a quarterback in the later parts of the first round because a lot of these teams, we know if you don't have a quarterback, you can't win in the NFL nowadays. So I really think that this could be like a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers situation where you go from having one great quarterback to another great quarterback. If you bring in Justin Fields and allow him to sit behind a Hall of Fame talent in Matt Ryan, I don't think that Matt Ryan will be as hard on Justin Fields as Brett Favre was on Aaron Rodgers. I really think that Matt Ryan will really take Justin Fields under his wing, teach him the ropes and things of that nature, because I do believe you can draft a quarterback early and still have success. I don't believe in, the saying, if you bring in a top, a first round quarterback that it hurts the team. I really don't think that. It doesn't, to me, necessarily create a quarterback controversy unless you allow it to. And I really feel like in the Philadelphia Eagles situation, the front office there and Doug Peterson, they opened the door for that quarterback controversy. It wasn't just them drafting the quarterback with that in that first round or second round of Jalen Hurts, but it was the way that Doug Peterson talked to the media, and he never committed to Carson Wentz fully, and that's pretty much what created that quarterback controversy. If you take a look at the Green Bay Packers, they drafted Jordan Love in the first round in the 2020 draft. The quarterback out of, I believe it was Utah State, and everybody said that Aaron Rodgers, was going to have a fit and it wasn't going to work out. But I come to tell you that that's false, because the Green Bay Packers are the number one seed in the NFC right now. So it may even motivate Matt Ryan even more if they bring in a quarterback in the first round to try to actually take his spot. I really think that that's not going to do anything to Matt Ryan. I feel like Matt Ryan has the utmost confidence in his game and in himself. So I don't think drafting a first round quarterback is going to impact Matt Ryan's game at all. And just me looking, like I said, these top five talents, the kid Sewell out of Oregon, I really like that kid. But I also feel like we just drafted two offensive linemen in the first round the last two seasons with Caleb McGarry and Chris Lindstrom. We drafted both of those guys in the first round. We traded up. So I feel like you can't have an offensive line full of first round picks. Like, that's just not realistic, because eventually you're going to have to pay all of these guys. So I feel like I do like this kid Sewell, and I wouldn't be mad if the Falcons drafted him, because, I believe in the trenches win games. But I also believe that you never know when Matt Ryan's career is going to be over. You never know when you're going to have a chance to take a talent like a Justin Fields, or have a chance at getting, a good quarterback that can actually sit behind a great quarterback and learn the ropes and learn the offense, especially with bringing in this new GM and new head coach. Depending on what head coach and GM comes in, I really think that that's going to determine if we draft a guy like a Justin Fields. But, just saying drafting him would affect Matt Ryan's game or create controversy, I don't really think so. If you bring in a coach, that's a hard-nosed coach that comes right in and be direct with the media and tell them, this kid is not going to play this year. Matt Ryan is our starter. Unless, barring injury, Matt Ryan is the guy. He's still the franchise guy. I do believe that you can bring in a backup quarterback and let him sit for 1 or 2 seasons behind Matt Ryan, learn the ropes. And then when Matt Ryan does call it a career, you have a quarterback right there in the wait-ins to be your next quarterback, to be your next starter, where you don't have to draft a rookie to come in and try to take over the reins. It's a lot easier when you have a guy that's been learning the system, sitting under a veteran quarterback where they can learn how to be a pro. They can come right in and be a starter, just kind of how Aaron Rodgers hit the ground running. So I definitely think the Falcons should consider it, especially, because it's not, like I was saying before, it's not really a lot of generational talents in this draft. Other than the kid Sewell, he's the only guy that I really see that I think is a top candidate, either Sewell or Gregory Rousseau. Those are the only two guys that I would take over Justin Fields. But if those guys are not available, or if it comes down to taking Justin Fields or taking a Gregory Rousseau or a Sewell, I think I would go with Justin Fields, to be honest with you. And it's not just because I'm being a prisoner of the moment, seeing him play yesterday and I'm just like in love with the kid. I just think that the quarterback position is very valuable in the NFL. You need a quarterback. You have to have a quarterback. And eventually Matt Ryan is going to retire. His game is going to eventually start to erode and drop off. And you're going to need that quarterback to come in, just like when we lost Michael Vick and we had those seasons where we had Joey Harrington, Byron Leftwich. We were stuck in purgatory because we didn't have a quarterback, that can come in and take over the reins and be that franchise guy. So I do think that Justin Fields possibly could be the pick, as much as a lot of the Atlanta Falcon Matt Ryan, lovers and fans may not want to hear it. Personally, I love Matt Ryan. I think Matt Ryan is the best quarterback to ever play in Atlanta, but I'm a realist. And from what I seen yesterday out of that kid, Justin Fields, he gave me a lot of Russell Wilson vibes. on the field. Like I said, he's not the most explosive guy. He's not a Lamar Jackson type or a Michael Vick type where he has that explosive speed, but he is mobile. He can run outside the pocket. I do think that he needs to learn how to slide a little bit better and protect himself, because in the league, they're not going to call targeting. When you're a quarterback and you're running, they consider you a running back. Once you leave the pocket and you take off down the field, you're like a running back. So the NFL, they're not going to have those rules where they're going to call targeting and stuff like that to protect the quarterback once you leave the pocket. But Justin Fields doesn't spark me as a guy that's a one read and run quarterback. From what I've seen yesterday, it looked like he's one of those quarterbacks that, like a Russell Wilson, that when he does break the pocket, he's still looking down the field to throw the football, and that's very important. But with that being said, you guys let me know what you think about Justin Fields. Do you think Justin Fields, the Falcons should draft him? Personally, I think the Falcons should consider it, not just for on the football field, but the marketing side of the Atlanta Falcons. I really think that they're going to really push for a Justin Fields type of, for him being drafted in Atlanta. The reason I say that is he's a Georgia kid. He's from the area. Also, Justin Fields is a lot like Todd Gurley. If you guys remember when Todd Gurley came in this offseason, I really don't think that the Falcons brung in Todd Gurley just to help the team. I think that bringing in a guy like Todd Gurley was something that the marketing team thought would really help the Falcons sell these new jerseys. And bringing in a Justin Fields would be the exact same thing for this marketing team. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, because we want to win games. And I'm the same way. I think I want to win games as well. I don't care about marketing and selling jerseys and stuff like that. But that's something that the front office looks at. As much as we don't want to believe it, the Atlanta Falcons, every organization has a marketing team, and they want to make money. And selling tickets and having exciting players is something that they look at. As much as we may think that all they care about is winning, that's just not the truth. They care about, pizzazz and having a guy that can sell, sell jerseys and sell merchandise. So I definitely could see Justin Fields being beloved because he's from, like I was saying, he's from the area. He was attending Georgia and then transferred to Ohio State, but he played at Westlake High School. From what I heard, they're in Georgia, which is near the Atlanta area. So I really think that this kid could possibly be drafted by the Falcons. I really think that a lot of guys in the front office eyes probably was open after seeing this guy play yesterday in the college football playoff. And like I said, I wouldn't be mad if the Falcons drafted him. I do think that he has upside, and I do think that the Falcons need to start looking at that quarterback position. As much as I'm against replacing Matt Ryan with a young quarterback, I'm not opposed to bringing in a young quarterback that can sit behind Matt Ryan, learn the ropes, and possibly be the future of our team. Because you, as a coach, as a GM, as a fan, you have to always look at the future. You can't always put all your eggs in one basket. You have to look towards the future because the NFL, nothing's promised. Injuries happen. As players get older, things happen. So you have to prepare not only for now, but we have a young nucleus already on this team. So we have to begin, especially on the offensive side, to start planning for the future, because Calvin Ridley is the future for Julio Jones and being our next number one wide receiver. So we definitely have to start looking at who could possibly be the next quarterback or the heir apparent to Matt Ryan. But with that being said, this been your boy Jew. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Do you like Justin Fields? Do you think we should draft Justin Fields? I think that it's a strong possibility that the Falcons will bring this kid in. I do believe that he could have some success in the league, depending on who the coaches are. I think if we bring in the right coaching staff that plays to this guy's strengths, I definitely think that he could be an NFL quarterback and definitely be a solid NFL quarterback from what I've seen yesterday and from what I've seen so far of this kid's tape. It looks like he makes good decisions with the football. It doesn't look like he's a guy that just one read and bolts out of the pocket. It looks like he's a guy that actually keeps his eyes down the field, even when he's running outside of the pocket. So you guys let me know what you think of this kid, Justin Fields. Do you think the Falcons are going to consider bringing him in with that fourth pick? I definitely think that the Falcons will if he's still there at number 4. I definitely think it would be smart to look at this kid, and I still would build on the defense, but I would build with the defense with the remaining picks that we have. Maybe we go Justin Fields in the first round, and then in the second, third, and beyond, we bring in some defensive linemen that can help bolster this team. Maybe bring in another safety to bolster the defense. But with that being said, this been your boy Jew signing off. I'll holler at you guys in the next video. And as always, Falcons Nation, rise up. Peace.